Hello, hello, Kingdom citizens, Velocity Banking students, loyal subscribers, welcome, welcome. I have a guest with me today, Linnell Young, who's going to be, we're going to be talking about Velocity Banking and Debt Snowball together. Go ahead and mute yourself,
Oh
Mr.
yeah, yeah.
Linnell, and we'll mute the YouTube.
I did.
It's creating an echo.
Oh crap.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. There you go. I think you just lowered it a little bit. Mute it a little bit more.
What about now?
Keep going.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on here. Shoot.
That's all right.
Because I can mute my mic.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
What about now?
Let's see if that worked.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on here.
Let me see.
Because I can mute my mic.
I'm not talking. I'm trying to quiet myself.
Okay.
But when you're on, so what it should be like, you've got your YouTube open where you're watching me, and then you've got Skype open. So on YouTube, just click the mute on YouTube, not
I
your
did.
thing.
Correct. It's muted on YouTube. The video's muted.
You're on, so what it should be like, you've got
My video is muted
your
for
YouTube
sure.
open where you're watching. Okay. Let's see. I think I just fixed it. Okay. Well, we've got, let me see, got 17 people in the house so far. Hello to Mr. Diesel. We are doing our best here to work this audio and whatnot. Try to make sure I get this just right. So I'm gonna go like this. And I think I got it right. So for the 20 people in the house that are currently watching, hello to House Bills. Do a quick audio check here. It's sounding good now. Now there's no echo.
Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead, unmute yourself, Linnell. Let me see.
I'm not on
You
mute.
should be good now.
You can hear me, right?
I think I just had too many windows open.
Can you hear me? Oh boy.
Hello, we got other people saying hello. Hello, Beverly, how you doing?
Can you hear me
Velocity
okay?
Banking family. Cool, cool, cool. If you're in the house, comment below. We got an interesting class. We started off a little iffy there, but that's all right. You know, technology happens. Mr. Linnell, I'm not hearing you.
I'm not on
Check the
mute at
Skype.
all.
Maybe you have yourself muted
Can
on
Can you hear me?
Skype. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you nice and good.
Okay, we'll just do that.
Perfect. All right, you sound good. Let me just, I'm gonna increase your audio on my side so you come in nice and clear for everybody.
All right.
Okay. And now everybody else can hear. Yep. Mr.
Cool.
Jose says loud and clear. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that took a whole 4 minutes, but that's okay. So I'm going to put you on the screen here. You can say hello to everybody. Just want to welcome you to my channel, my kingdom. You invited me on your channel a while back. We've had some disagreements in the past, but through communication and dialogue, we've built a very nice, genuine relationship, I would say, through the internet,
For sure.
along with your fans and my fans. I know my fans went on when you had me live. I think that video went 4 hours long. I think when I watched the replay, I was like, oh my
Was it?
God. Yeah,
Oh
because
wow.
I remember bugging out at like 2 hours because I had to go. But you ended up talking to a client of mine, longtime client, and then some others as well. And so
Right.
I do appreciate you giving them that recognition, that time to speak their, truth, their experience. rather than most others that I've come across that just refuse to have a conversation, refuse to
Right.
open in dialogue, and nothing gets done. And that could be said in the political world as well. When both sides just don't want to communicate,
Hmm.
everybody's right, nobody's wrong type of mentality.
Hmm. Right. Right.
Nothing gets done. So I think today is primarily I'm just going to ask you some questions, and let's just see how it goes. All
Hmm.
right. So go ahead,
Sure.
introduce yourself. A couple minutes.
My name is LJ Young, and I am a 100% debt-free motivational speaker and personal finance educator. I help people become financially free by helping them financially see outside what I call the debt matrix. The debt matrix is a place where everybody lives that believes in credit and debt and financing everything that goes down in value, and pretty much don't really trust mathematics. And then, so what I do is I expose what I call the glitches in the debt matrix. And the glitches are in the debt matrix that are things that don't make mathematical sense, yet people keep repeating them. But anyway, so I've been doing that for quite a while now, and SMD family, savings minus debt family. And I came across Denzel. I saw one of his videos and I decided to do a review on it, right? And I forgot how long it was up there before actually Denzel reached out to me, but uh, he reached out to me very respectfully, right? That really, he really got what I was doing. I wasn't really trying to put him down or anything about it. I was just saying certain things, and he came at me respectfully. We had dialogue. Brought him on the show. Now I'm back on his show, and so you guys know in the room, I respect Denzel 100% for what this young man is doing. So I don't want you guys to think we're coming. It's like a boxing match. It's nothing like that. So thank you.
Cool. Cool.
All
All
right.
right. So I'm just gonna get things going here. We got 34 people in the house and counting, so that's great. Good promotion on both of our sides, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to go ahead and do is just kind of turn our attention to the board here. So, velocity banking and debt snowball. The first thing I want to talk about is the terminology. I know you're a big man of words and definitions. We were just talking about this earlier before we went live.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to share all the terms that people use, like myself and others on the velocity banking side, to define what they're doing. So velocity banking is a common one. That's pretty much what a lot of people use. I would say that's like an American term. When we look at the root or the origin of where velocity banking started, who started it, where did it come from, it actually does not come from the US. We did not come up with this. This started in Australia, where you had the whole entire country of Australia have these products called offset accounts, and it helps them pay off their mortgage super fast. So instead of 30 years, which in reality, when you go to Australia, they don't even do 30-year mortgages. They're like between 10 and 15 years, I'd say, or less than that. So they use a term called mortgage acceleration. So for those that are watching that are new to the channel, people that follow Linnell or others that are going to be watching this video for the very first time, velocity banking, the root word mortgage acceleration comes from Australia, and then Americans, we made it a little more spiced up, called it velocity, because I guess the speed at which something moves and the speed at which your money moves. So combine that together, boom, you get velocity banking. Some other terms that other influencers and big YouTubers use is cash flow banking, paycheck parking, debt acceleration. Something that I came up with was debt snowball 2.0, debt consolidation, debt restructure, or like refinancing or debt refinance, which a lot of people understand debt consolidation and refinancing. Some people, a lot of people do this, but majority do it incorrectly, which ends up costing them more money than they actually think. So I just wanted to lay out those terms when people, I guess, ask you or people ask me, like, okay, what's the difference here, or why are these people using these terms versus others. And I would just say my stance on these terms is I personally feel like that it's just marketing. They're hot topic words to get you attracted, but at the end of the day, I feel like both velocity banking, debt snowball are very similar in nature in terms of what it gets you to. And so what would be your thoughts on that? Do you agree on that notion right there, in terms of velocity banking, debt snowball, the nature of where it's trying to take us?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the words that are being used in this, right? But remember, uh, I mean, and I'm gonna let you. I mean, so I understand where this is going, why they use those particular words, why are they using accelerated and infinity and velocity. I understand. So that part I do understand.
Okay, so I want to start picking at these terms a little bit, the more common ones. For example, when you're working with clients, and really you would say that your ideal person is someone that's in debt already, correct?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
I would say that the average person that comes to your channel and my channel are
Yeah.
people who are in debt, right?
Correct. Correct. Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, um, when someone brings up, hey, I'm thinking about refinancing my debt,
Mhm.
how would you respond to the idea of refinancing? Do you think that is a good strategy, or is it completely off limits, or does it have some truth to it?
When I okay, so I only respond to you with mathematics. Okay.
Hmm.
I would have to see the first thing I need to know is how much debt they're in. I mean, in order to count to a million, the laws of mathematics say you must start somewhere. That's what math says. This is I didn't invent it. It's just the way
Hmm.
it is, right? So I would have to know how much debt they're in, what type of mortgage do they have. There's so many different factors, but if somebody asked me that, I couldn't even answer that question. So I would say, let me see your credit report.
I see. So,
Mm-hmm.
so if a person is like, say, in a lot of credit card debt,
Mm-hmm.
and the interest rates are super high.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for example, I got a $10,000 credit card. I got three of them, so I owe 30,000 in credit card consumer debt.
Mm-hmm.
All these credit cards are like 20 plus in
Okay.
interest,
Mm-hmm.
and a client gets all these marketing emails, right? They don't come to us because they don't see us right away. They see the big companies that want to take advantage of these people, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So they get like a lending tree or a
Yes.
prosper
Correct.
comes to them and say, "Hey, restructure this debt into a fixed amortized loan at,
Mm-hmm.
say, 6%."
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to remove three credit card debts, 30,000, put it into a $30,000 loan at, say, 6% at a fixed monthly payment for 5 years. And their payment would be lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their debt didn't decrease. They're just saving money on interest. Would
Mm-hmm.
that be something you would say, okay, that makes sense, that would work?
No.
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 Okay.
And I'll
Why?
tell you why. And I'll
Yeah,
tell you why.
I'd love to hear on that.
Okay. A person's in debt. They're not in debt because of the interest rate. They're in debt because they have no idea what an interest rate is or what it means. That's why they have 20%. All the ridiculous numbers that you were spewing out, a ridiculous this, a ridiculous that, a ridiculous that, this and that interest rate. The first thing that tells me is that they know nothing about interest rates. That's why they have that interest rate.
Oh
This
yeah.
this 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 makes sense to me, right?
Hmm.
So I would say it's not the interest rate, it's how much debt you're in. Let's add up your total debt, and I'm gonna say if you don't pay this off, this no, this is your problem. This amount of debt. It's not the interest rate. especially if they have multiple credit cards with multiple high interest rates. That tells me they know nothing about interest rates. So if you try to take this, put it in a loan at a 6% interest rate, you believe what you're telling them is that you believe they have no structure at all. That's why their credit and interest rates look the way they do. You believe that now they're going to magically somehow structure themselves to pay back this 30-year fixed 6%. No, they're not.
Got it.
They're not going to do that.
So you would rather, like, you would present to them, let's educate ourselves first, right?
Correct.
Let's educate ourselves first, understand where we're currently at before making any moves, right?
Correct. I want people, the average person in debt doesn't even know how much debt they're in. So my first number one thing is so they can see that negative number, and I have them add it up with me. So they know I'm not lying. My calculator will match their calculator. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When they see that number, I'm gonna, and I tell them, this is how much you're worth today, period.
Mm-hmm.
And then I let that soak in.
Let it soak in.
Let
Okay,
it soak in.
I agree. I agree. So I'm with you on that. So in terms of this video and finding the common ground, the commonalities between both spectrums, is I'm totally in agreement with that. I don't believe that the average person would understand that process of restructuring, moving debt from one to another. They're most likely going to fail at it.
Right.
They're going to do something wrong. They're going to run their credit to the dirt, which it probably already is. Let's say they, going back to the same example, I got 3 credit cards. I now owe $10,000 on each, but before I was $15,000 owed on all of them, and I had them all maxed out, and I've been consistently paying it, right? Maybe I'm making extra payments here and there, and then they get hit with marketing, like, hey, restructure your debt, push it over here, a smaller interest rate, you're gonna save money. And although that may be true, right? You would agree that, okay, 20% interest is less, is more than 6%. Like, that may be true.
Mm-hmm.
But number one, are they going to get approved? And then number two, would they actually commit? Or because they feel like they're in less debt now, because they paid off 3 and they have 1, are they going to go get 2 more debts? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would...
No. Oh, you asking me a question?
Yeah. Like, would you agree with that?
And I'm going to tell you how people in debt think. This is how they think, okay? They don't understand that debt consolidation places are targeting them because they are in debt and they are prime targets. Mm-hmm. They don't really understand that.
Gotcha. So when you're talking to people, when it comes to debt consolidation, that's like a big no-no.
That's another no, because once they consolidate the debt, Denzel, they will believe they have more money now.
Right.
I've seen this. Okay, they'll consolidate all this debt, and now they have one single payment at whatever percentage rate. Again, the percentage rate really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. But they believe now that they have only paid this amount, now they can afford to go finance other things. The reason why they do that, because they haven't seen their total debt. They don't know that they are slaves. They don't even know it.
Okay. And so let's hit the next one here on refinancing debt. So very similar to debt consolidation, when you remove a bunch of credit card utilization. But let's say I'm dealing with a client that has, say, $250,000 owed on a mortgage, and the property value is $300K.
Okay.
Is the value of the home.
Okay.
They've been paying on it for, say, 5 years, and now they're starting to get hit with the marketing, and they get the emails, they get the mortgage lenders, they get the phone calls, and all of them are saying, hey, refinance your $250K, which you have 24, 25 years left on it, into a smaller interest rate. So let's say they had a 6% rate, and because of this down market that we're in, and interest rates hitting zero, and the Fed's pricing in negative interest rates, that you could probably get a mortgage right now for 3%, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 4% right now, with decent to good or excellent credit, right? And so let's just say that was a possibility. They were approved to go from 6% to 3%, and their mortgage payment is going to drop by $200-300, okay? But they're going to have a new mortgage loan at 3%, $250K, but it's going to be structured for 30 years. So they reset the clock, right? How do you feel about mortgage refinance specifically for a situation like this?
Okay. Now, when I start here, these are averages that you're using, correct?
These are no, I'm using, like, I'm thinking of like a client that I've had in the past, but just being really just specific to
Can-
this scenario. I know we can't help everybody,
No,
so
no.
what I try to do is just like, let's try and get some numbers and identify, here is an individual that's in debt. They've never heard of Velocity Banking before. They've only heard of Dave Ramsey, Debt Snowball, and they're genuinely concerned or interested. Is this the right thing for me to do? I'm in debt. I understand I'm in debt. Let's say you've got them past that point where they've already accepted their net worth, which is negative. You got them to that point, right? And now they're coming to you and they say, Linnell, what the hell do I do with this? This sounds like a great thing, but would you recommend me to do that?
Let me see how I can put this to you. All right. So that part of refinancing houses and at a certain percentage rate, I don't know. I don't understand any of that. Okay.
Okay.
Because let me tell you, everybody is different. So if somebody came to me with that specific question, and the first thing I'm gonna ask is that person in debt, and I'm assuming in this scenario you said, hey, they accept that they are in debt. What should they do with this particular situation? So we're gonna stick with that.
Yeah.
I would say I would ask a professional. But first, before you ask that professional, I would have you ask to see their personal credit report first. And I know they would look at me weird, like, hey, why would you do that? Because if their credit report looks like your credit report,
They don't know no
anything
more.
they're going to show you is not going to be correct.
Okay.
All right. But so that's the best way I can, because I don't really take people that far. That's the best way I can explain to you. I don't take them that far if they're in debt, because there's no need for them to know that information if they're in debt.
Okay. So you rather them not get consumed in the overload of financial information in the marketplace. You would rather have them just say, listen, put your head in the dirt, deal with what you have, focus on what you have, make these extra payments, focus on your numbers, how much you're bringing in, what you're spending, what's left over, whatever's left over, you pay that towards debt, and just stick to that. Do not listen to anybody. Like, just really hone in on yourself. Get to know who you are in this negative debt matrix, right? This bad place, and really just know the pain that you put yourself in. You knowingly put yourself into all this debt. And now
Correct.
you're realizing, and now you're paying for that consequence.
This is something that they have to feel,
This
right?
Okay.
They have to see that number, because you can show the average person in debt. I could show a person in debt what their total number is, and then I could ask them, do you feel like you're in debt? They will tell me no right to my face. Even though I'm showing them the number, they will say no. So this is why I don't really take it that far because I understand what you're saying, Denzel. Logically, between you and I that are not in debt, I would say, hey, if that brings down a lower percentage rate on the house and you will save these fees and this and that, I would say, yes, most definitely do that because the interest rate on that is much cheaper than that because that's logical mathematical sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, totally. And I know you understand what you're saying. So I would look at personally, if I saw you doing that, Denzel, and since I know you, I would believe the information that you're writing on that board.
Okay. Okay. So that's
Mm-hmm.
good to know.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to me on the velocity banking side, when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to refinancing debt, I am actually, in most cases, I'm against it because what I look at is what does the bank get out of this transaction?
Mm-hmm.
How are they benefiting? Just because I cut my interest in half, or which is highly unlikely for someone to cut their mortgage rate interest in half. More so, it might drop by a point and a half, or 2 points, or something like that. But I think what a lot of people forget with all that marketing is they forget the closing costs that they'll tack on to that mortgage. They'll forget that you were originally at 24 years left on the mortgage. You've made 6 years of payments on an existing debt. And these people don't understand how amortization works, where the interest on that 6% is front loaded in the beginning years of a mortgage. So this person that's now at 250K owed and they got 24 years left, it's actually better for them to stay at that rate, because as long as if they just kept making more payments, right, they'll get done faster because they're going to have more of that money working for them because they've gotten past the early years of front-loaded interest, where it's like, okay, if the mortgage payment's $2,000 a month, like over $1,400 of that is straight interest, right? So even if they refinance to a 3% and same number, 250K, but now they're at 30 years, so they didn't actually reduce their debt. All they did was alleviate the pain, the pressure, and that's what you're talking about, the pain. They need to feel that so that they'll never go back into it again. If they alleviate the pain, you're saying they've never learned anything, number one, and they're never going to get out of debt because they got 30 years now to pay it off. Yeah, the payment would be from 2K and it drops to 1,700, but I think you and I would both agree that the average person would take that 300 and go spend it. They wouldn't actually keep their mortgage payment 2K a month.
Because they haven't learned anything.
Because they haven't learned anything.
Mm-mm.
Gotcha. So that's another common ground that I would definitely, flow with. And debt restructure is pretty much the same as debt consolidation and debt refinance. The more advanced strategy is, when it comes to debt restructuring, is people who say this, where they'll get that marketing again, and this marketing is huge on the YouTube world, I would say, and Facebook and just social media in general, is they tell people, hey, you can take all your personal debt and push it over to the business. You'll take it off, all that debt will be removed off your credit report. You put it in the business, and now your business owns that debt. There's tax deductions, there's write-offs, and if you make money, you can pay it off faster because, with business debt, you can get a bunch of 0%, rates and offers, right? So for the average person, again, because we're dealing with, this video is going to be focused on that starter group. Starter, like culturally low income, low middle class, very, very financially illiterate. They do not understand terminology that well. If they were presented with this, because they see this, they see business, and they hear make a ton of money, right? That's the marketing. Make a ton of money. You know, you'll be debt free in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, super fast. And the average person would get suckered into that, right? You would agree with that, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
So how would you, when a client comes to you and they say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, but they're in debt and they don't know terminology that well, they're financially illiterate, they think they can do this, you would say, listen, maybe that's not the best route.
All right. And the only way I can tell it to you is mathematically, okay? Let's put it this way. My clients, the last thing on my clients list is a house. Okay? When they get to that point, I would send them to you.
Okay.
Okay? I would definitely send them to you once they reach to the house, because I know at that point that they've done what it takes to even understand anything you're saying, Denzel. I'm listening to you, and that seems like a lot of information, man. I'm just like, whoa, that's a lot. And I understand everything you're saying. There is no way a person in debt that has not done the work is really going to understand what you're saying. That's what my experience is through my clients. That's why I go to the very basics. I'm like, and when I tell people this, at the end of every question, at the end of every talk or whatever comes up, the last thing I say is my math right? They always have to say yes. So I'm not saying, and I'm like we're having this dialogue. I'm not really against anything you're saying. I really am not. I just don't believe people understand what you're saying. That's all. You're most definitely right, Denzel. I don't doubt what you're doing. I know. I can just look at your videos. I see the numbers on the board. This interest rate will reduce this. I'll refinance it into that. But the average person that's going to be doing what you're telling them, I should be able to walk up to them and say, hey, what year is your house paid off? They should give it to me just like that.
Gotcha.
Right, like that. The average person is going to go, oh man, I don't, what? Then you're not doing what Denzel's telling you to do. Well, else you would know that. Period.
I see. Understand. So basic financial education is key first.
No, it's not key. That's where it starts.
That's where it starts.
Period. That's the foundation. Period. That's why because I see what type of dialogue you're trying to have with me, Denzel. I get it. I totally get it. I promise you, I get it.
Yeah.
I see where you're going. But all I'm saying to you, I believe what you are doing. I'm just saying they don't understand what you're doing. The majority.
The majority, correct. And I totally agree with that. Which is why I try to show them and reveal to them there's a incorrect way that the majority of these big corporations and institutions are feeding us, right? They're feeding us this false narrative of how I can pay off debt.
Okay, Denzel,
extremely fast.
Real quick question. I don't mean to interrupt you, but this real quick. This is why I take that big corporation mentality out of their head, like big corporations are doing something bad to them or something. They're not doing anything bad to me. No corporation can call me up and say, hey man, you should get this loan. You should refinance your car. You'll get a better interest rate if you refinance a car. Right there, refinance. They wouldn't dare call me and say that, right? But I just say, no. Are you insane?
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Because you have the knowledge.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Just the basic, and all they need to know is the basic knowledge. That's it. Just the basics. That's what I teach. Just the basic math.
Great. I like that. So we've covered so far that, look, when it comes to refinancing, when it comes to debt consolidation, debt restructure, all these crazy complex moves that the average person's not going to get it right off the bat. But
Correct.
if someone studies and they educate themselves and they watch your videos, they watch my videos, they read a ton of books, and they get to a point where, you know, they've been consistently doing Debt Snowball for many years, and they're now reaching a point where they want to start to educate themselves a little bit further along the way. That's when you would kind of hand it off, where you'll say, okay, if a person is debt-free, right? Say a person's debt-free, their credit score is great, they've gone through the pain, they're never going back. Right?
That's the key.
You got that.
They got to feel that pain. Yes.
You got that kind of client. They're like, all right, that was painful. Paid off all my damn debt. My credit's looking great. I'm debt free. I'm cash flow positive. Maybe my income grew because I figured out ways to bring in more money to pay off my debt faster. You know, by you know, chunking more at it or making extra payments, whatever the case may be. Once they get to that point, you would say your work is complete. You have successfully, you know, built that client up. Would you agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. And at that point, you would then send them either to a channel like mine or some more complex, advanced strategies. Would you?
I would send them your way.
Okay.
Right from when you talk about life insurance, refinancing a house, HSA, blah, 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 all that's right on the money.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that none of that stuff works when their finances are in the negative. It's mathematically impossible to invest in an HSA while your finances are in the negative. That's all.
I see. Understood. Okay. So I'm gonna go to some other questions here, and this is something I pulled off your channel a couple of times, and I've heard you talk about it when we're talking about the mortgage, and someone says, you know, what kind of mortgage should I get? And I heard you respond where you say, you know, only get the best mortgage
in the United States of America. Don't forget that part.
In the United States of America, only get the best. So that's pretty general, right?
It's not general. It's not general. It's not.
Okay. So
it's not general.
So what would be the best mortgage for a person that has no debt? They're debt free, but they don't have the capital to say buy a home, and they have great credit. What would you say the probably the best mortgage is for them? Does it depend if they're a business owner or personal income W-2, or?
We're just talking personal. We're just gonna talk personal. We won't go all over the place. This
Cool.
is
So personal.
okay. All right. So I'm gonna walk you through the process of what I mean. Okay. So you can understand my logic of only accepting the best one. Okay. When you go to a house and say like the house is on sale for $300,000, do you think the person that pays cash for $300,000 for the house gets it on sale, or do you think the person that finances it for 30 years gets it on sale at the sale price? This house is for sale for $300,000. Who gets it at $300,000? The person that pays cash, or the person that finances it for 30 years? Which one do you think gets it for $300,000?
I actually don't know.
You don't know? Okay, I'll tell you. The person that pays cash.
Person that pays cash.
The person that pays cash gets the house on sale. Nobody gets a financed house on sale. That's an illusion. Okay? You're financing for 30 years. You should logically and mathematically understand that you're not getting it for $300,000. All right? Right off the bat, that's not me saying that. That's just mathematics. Okay?
Right.
That's
You just
right?
you paid in one shot, so you don't have to pay interest and all that other stuff. You might
Correct. You don't. When you buy anything cash, you don't pay interest. That's the purpose of paying cash.
Right.
So you don't pay interest, right? So obviously, right off the bat, you know, if you finance that house for 30 years for $300,000, You are not paying $300,000 for that
Of
house,
course
right?
not.
You
Yeah.
already know you're going to pay more for that house than it's worth today. You already logically understand this. So if you're going to do that, if you logically understand, like, hey, I accept that I'm going to pay more for this house than what it's worth for 30 freaking years of my life. Okay, I might as well get the absolute best mortgage in the United States of America if I know I'm going to already pay more for that house than what it's worth.
Gotcha.
Anything less than the best is subprime, mathematically speaking.
Right. And so
See?
that means, you know, in terms of the terms, because people can't
Oh,
look
that means
people
this. I'm
people
sorry.
can't people
I
can't
forget.
people can't look
For that
up.
type of loan,
Go
it's
ahead.
going to have requirements.
Yeah.
They're going to walk in the bank and say, I want the best one. The bank's going to say, oh, you want that one? Yeah, here's the requirements. If you don't meet the requirements on that list, you walk out of bank and you don't come back until you do meet the requirements. That that is and the only time you will know you are ready for a house. Period.
Right. And those requirements, what would you say they are?
They're going to be very strict.
Right. But what would you do? You know of any? Because I'm assuming right off the bat, credit score, obviously.
I'm sure it's got to be all excellent, money in the bank, whatever you can think of that you can think of in your head, Denzel. 700, 800 credit score, 30, 40% down, a job making this much in the bank, whatever you can think of. Yes, all of that is on that list. Yes.
I see.
So if they couldn't do it, they're not ready for a house. Because if they accept anything less, that means they are going to be paying even more for that house by getting a subprime mortgage.
Understood. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And so it would change if this person that is debt free, they want to buy a house, but for the purpose of an investment, right? And they're going to cash flow it. They're going to collect rent. They're going to put a renter in there, or maybe they're going to Airbnb it, right? And this is on the personal side. Let's say they don't let's say they don't create.
If you're talking renting, that's business.
Right, but some people don't actually form a corporation. A lot of people do this. I have a lot of clients that
Then I would tell them immediately that they're doing it wrong right there. I'm like, did
perfect.
you form something? No, you're doing it wrong. Don't do it.
Great. So that's a good piece of advice there, because
Correct.
I do say the same thing. I say, look, you got to form an entity.
See, that's where it would stop for me right there. You want to do what? How are you going to do it? By your personally? No, wrong. Then we
Wrong.
wouldn't go no further.
Don't go no further.
Don't
Great.
go any further until they do it right.
Until they do it right.
Do it
Yep.
right. Go see Denzel. He'll help you do it right. That's the moment I'll tell them. Go see Denzel. He'll help you do it right.
Okay. So form an entity, because you're protecting your personal life from being sued by the renter, taxes, write-offs, appreciation, right? There's so many other
I believe every word
benefits.
you're saying, Denzel.
Okay,
I believe
great.
it to the fullest. Exactly.
Great. So on the personal side, the best mortgage, if you don't have capital, would say like a traditional type of mortgage with the best interest rate, and you have to have the best credit score. You have to have money in the bank. You have to have at least 20% down to not have PMI, I'm assuming.
Correct.
To not have PMI, and probably have a reduced homeowners insurance rate, depending on if they're living in a community, there'll be HOAs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, how do you feel about escrow on a mortgage, right? Like I have clients that have these mortgages with these escrow attached, where the taxes, the insurance, the PMI, all that's included in it. What I tell my clients when they're doing velocity banking, they're rapidly paying off debt faster. I get to a point where once we remove PMI, or if there wasn't PMI to begin with and it's just escrow, insurance, and taxes, I tell them to actually remove it where we pay it ourselves, so that that money doesn't sit there and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can actually put that money to use and still pay it in full on its anniversary date, or the semi-annual.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the same way when it comes to paying anything any sort of subscription, I tell all my clients pay annual because you'll save money.
Yes.
So you agree with that, right? That's
Of
pretty
course.
much great.
Yes.
Would
Everything
you,
you said, I agree with. Mhm.
would you agree with using a credit card to pay for that annual expense if they don't have the capital to pay it in full that month, like right away? Would you, because we could
You're
do the
asking, okay, so this person's debt free.
debt free. So we got a debt free individual, and say their car insurance is $1,000 for the year,
Yeah.
and their let's see, maybe they have a subscription that, if they paid $100, they'll save 30, and paying their car insurance for the whole year, they'll save $150. So
Yeah.
they got a total of $180 in savings if I pay it annual.
Right.
And
Mhm.
what I'm getting at is, would you, authorize, say, okay, that's doable, is putting it on a credit card that has a 0% rate or offer, no fee whatsoever, and I just put that 1,100 through here, and that credit card also comes with like 1 to 3% cash back rewards. And if they spend 1,000 or more in the first 30 days, they get a $100 credit, to the account. So it's like, not only did they save money, but they made a little money on cash back and the statement credit. And then they can pretty much pay whatever the monthly payment was to the credit card, or like pay half, like wipe it out in 2 months or 3 months, just get rid of it, right?
Mhm.
Would you say like that's pretty reasonable, personal? This isn't business, this is just like personal expenses. Would you say that's a reasonable, not crazy thing to do?
I would say yes, because if they became debt free and we're using credit cards like that, because that's what I do. So if you once you've done the debt free work and the pain, I would trust a person that would know how to use a credit card the way you're explaining it. Yes.
Awesome. I
Hmm.
see.
Hmm.
But if a person is in debt, it's off the books.
Yeah, because that
It's
money doesn't exist mathematically. It's not even there.
not
It
even
doesn't
there.
exist.
Okay. Okay. So I would just, in obviously in the velocity banking world, like that would be an authorized sort of use because it gets me closer, I would
Mhm.
say, to probably paying off debt or maybe improving my credit score because I'm using credit. So in your world, when you were in debt, because I watched one of your videos and you explained your story on, when you were in debt, many tens of thousands of dollars with the student loans.
Mhm.
And so during that time, do you think you had the same knowledge that you had right now when you're out of debt? Or you had the same knowledge, you just knew that you had to do it this way?
Um, no, I definitely didn't have the knowledge back there, else I wouldn't have kept my student loans for 10 years. That would have never happened in a million years.
Gotcha.
That I have no idea. For the knowledge that I have today, Denzel, I have no idea
I
how
see.
in the world I did not see keeping a student loan for 10 years did not make any mathematical sense. I have no idea. But now that I'm out, it's due to conditioning,
Gotcha.
right? We go, like, for example, let me go back to the house thing for a quick second. When somebody people I can ask questions of people in debt and they won't know why I'm asking these questions. Okay. So say like somebody just bought a house, right? The first question I'll ask them, you have student loans? If they say yes, right off the bat, I knew they did it wrong. I already know that right off the bat, they done it wrong. If they had student loans while they bought a house, if their student loans are older than their house, I already know that they did it wrong. I don't have to ask any more questions. A person in debt, they don't know why I'm asking that question because people compare low interest rates compared to investing. All right, compared to investing. And they say, hey, the student loan interest rate is at 6%, 4%, whatever the number is. Again, interest rate doesn't count with people in debt. They just believe it does, right? They think, oh, but you can invest in here and you can do this. They always forget to ask the person the question, but how long have you had your student loans? 20 years at 6%? and you believe mathematically that some sort of investment out in the cloud, mystery cloud, is going to bring you back enough money to cover what you spent and still spending on a 20-year-old student loan, that is mathematically impossible.
I hear you.
Totally impossible. But people believe that, I guess, whatever.
Yeah. And so that leads to another solid point of, you know, the argument that I hear online a lot is pay off debt or invest. Right?
I hear that all the time.
And so I guess another commonality that we would have is I'm on the side of if I come across, let's say, a mom, single mom, husband and wife, 3 kids, 2 kids, they got the mortgage debt, the car debt, the student loans, the credit card debt, the personal. I mean, they're just up to their neck. They're underwater in debt. It's ridiculous. They're drowning in debt. And they come to me with the idea of investing, and this goes back to terminology. They don't even understand the word invest and what that truly means. So I think in terms of finding common ground, I totally agree. They need to focus on paying off debt first if I'm dealing with a person that does not have that knowledge. If I'm dealing with a person that does understand the word invest, even though they're in debt, and for me, the way I define investing is not growth whatsoever. And I think this is where a lot of people that think they know the word invest and they're in debt, right? Because I know you would just say right off, you would stop me right there. They're like, wait a minute, if they're in debt, they don't know invest, period. I know you would agree with me on that.
Correct.
But I get a lot of clients that think that they can offset, right? That key word, offset their debt interest by
There's
investing.
that interest again.
Right. They're thinking interest too much rather than the situation that they're in. So when I talk to somebody like that, rather than trying to tell them they're wrong, because that most likely won't work because they're stuck in their ways, for most people, I say, listen, first of all, you should not invest for growth. And when I say growth, I mean ROR, rate of return. You don't want to invest for rate of return. What I say is, when I invest for multiplication. I invest to multiply. I think I spelled multiply wrong. Jesus. So if I put my money into something, if I put $1 into an investment, I do not want 8% back, 8 cents. I want $2 back. I want $4 back. I want to make a 100% return on my money. Double. That means that's just double. If I do 200%, now I'm like 300, 400. Now I'm tripling and quadrupling my return. So if I come across an individual that can invest to multiply, I would say that they have an argument, definitely a grounding to say, all right, maybe we can put the debt payoff on the side here. If you can multiply your money, say that person's making $3,000 a month, and they have an opportunity to go from $3K to $30K a month, then I can solve their debt payoff in no time, because I would take all that free cash flow and throw it at the debt and be done with it. And then now I'm making $30K consistently per month. But if they think that they can just throw their money in a 401k and say, oh, my 401k is averaging 7%, or the S&P is averaging 9% over the last 20 years, and my debt is only at 4%, which is my mortgage, I'm making 5. No, that's wrong, you would say, correct?
That is a belief.
That's a belief.
Okay. There's okay, I'm gonna say it this way. This is the way I say it to my clients. First of all, what you're describing is a belief. Okay, that's just what somebody believes. All right. So first of all, math doesn't care what people believe. Okay, math doesn't care. If I said, hey, I believe 1 + 1 should equal 3, math is not going to care that I believe that. Okay, no, math is going to say, if math could speak, it would say, no, it's 2. I don't care what you believe, right? So math isn't, this is how I tell the clients, math is an exact science, right? Yes. That means math is never, ever, ever, ever wrong, right? Correct. Since I trust math, LJ Young trusts math, that means I'm never wrong. Correct? They go, yes. So when people come to me and say, hey, man, should I invest in this and that, and I'm in debt? First thing I tell them, stop saying it like you have a choice. Okay, that's the first thing you got to get out of your brain. Stop saying it as if you have a choice. Add up all your savings, add up all your debt. Yes, including your mortgage. Yes, including your student loans. Savings minus debt equals how much money you have to invest. When I show them this large negative number, I say, that's how much money you have to invest. Right there, that large negative number. So can you invest negative dollars into anything outside of yourself in the whole entire world? The answer is no. Okay. Same thing when people say, hey, should I buy versus rent? Stop throwing away money on rent. I say to them, stop saying it like you have a choice.
Yeah.
Savings minus debt equals how much money you have to buy. If that is a large negative number, you have absolutely no choice but to rent. Period. And then when I'm done, I say to them, is my math right or is it wrong? They're going to say, Linnell, it's right. Some tell me right at that moment that they still don't believe it. Then they go to that plan that you just showed on that board, Denzel. If they believe at that point, Denzel, put it this way. If they believe that they can still invest, I'm going to say, go see Denzel.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I'm qualifying my clients, I try to feel people out. I try to see where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
If they have an existing business and they're building that, like if I'm dealing with someone that has a business, they have a salon and they're making good money, but they have a lot of personal debt,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're making a lot of money and their cash flow is being pumped right back into the business.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on their attitude on how they view money and how money works for them, then I might steer them in the direction of, okay, maybe we could put that debt off to the side if we can create a strategy to bring in 10 times what you're making today. What I call the 10x concept, which is by Grant Cardone. Like if I can make more money, right, and manage my debt. I manage my debt. I pay my payments on time. I keep paying the stuff. But if I increase my cash flow, my income over the next 1 to 2 years, and then I just shifted all that money to pay off debt, then I would obviously get out of debt faster, you know, and in a way, did I alleviate pain? We could say that, we could make that argument. Did they learn anything? I would say that they learned a hell of a lot of information in terms of making more money. Do they run the risk of putting themselves into more debt? Probably, if they haven't understood the psychological part of how they function, which I think this is something that you cover more than financial strategies and financial concepts. What I'm hearing on this live stream right now that we're communicating, but also in your previous videos and our previous conversations, you're dealing with the psyche of a person more than like the actual like, because you're agreeing with everything. You're like, okay, like that can work, that can work, that can work, but that's just a belief. Math says 1 + 1 is 2. Even though there may be strategies out there that I use where I can make $1 and I can turn that into $5.
What strategy
right?
do you have that's going to change 1 + 1 equaling 2, Denzel? What strategy? Tell me your strategy of changing that.
Gotcha. I'll show you right now.
You're going
So
to change. You're going to change 1 + 1 equaling 2.
yeah,
Nobody in the world can do that, but you're going to do that.
yeah, because the way the U.S. government works, man,
Oh,
it's such a
Denzel, it can't. I'm gonna just stop right there. It can't be changed. That's impossible. Nobody can do that.
right. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of show this money.
Okay.
I'm gonna
All
show
right.
this.
Show me. Show me.
I'm gonna show this money on the board, right? And let's just go through some facts here. This $20 bill and this $1 bill, and I got a 10 and a 5 somewhere, right?
Say that
So
again.
If you look at the screen, I got some money on the board here, right?
Okay.
So I've got a $1 bill, a $5 bill, a
Man, I
10,
can't wait to start making some Denzel money.
right? I got
Oh, go ahead, man. Sorry.
a 5, a 10, and a 20, right?
Yeah.
If
Mm-hmm.
we look at any U.S. dollar money,
Mm-hmm.
it says anywhere. It might say on the bottom right, bottom left.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It says that this note, this $5 bill, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private.
You explaining to me about those green pieces of paper on your board there.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
I gotta build this out, right?
Yeah,
Let
I'm
me
listening.
build it out because the other people need to listen. The $10 bill also says it. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Even the $50 bill, the $100 bill. So I want to ask you the question, and everybody else in the audience:
Mm-hmm.
Is this paper? Is this money or is this debt? This money right here, right? This paper. We call it money, right? Everybody in the United States understands what this looks like. This is this green paper. But I want to ask everybody, is this real money or is this debt? Right? What would you say, Linnell?
All right. And I want everybody in the room to listen because the majority are in student loan debt. Okay. Now I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna show you math. Now, Denzel, I want you to take all the money off, and I want you to leave a 20.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I forgot. It's got to catch up. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I did it already, though.
Okay. So now, with that 20 in your hand, Denzel,
Yeah.
that $20 exists for you because you're not in debt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It exists for you. The money's real for you. If I pick it up, it'll be real for me. Whatever you got there, it'll be real for me, right? But those of you that are listening in this room, okay? This is what I want you to do. Imagine that you're holding that 20 in your hand, okay? And then I want you to think about how much student loan debt you have right now. Just make up the number, say, hey, it would cost this much to write it off, to pay it off, right? So let's say like it's $20,000. Okay. I want you to go $20 minus $20,000. $20 minus $20,000 equals how much money you actually have in your hand. Now you tell me, is the money there? Are you going to believe math or your lying eyes? Now you tell me if money is real for you. Period. Voila. You see that magic trick I just did?
Yes. But now,
Just magic.
so let's just use me because the original question was how is Denzel gonna make $1 more than
Gotcha. Oh yeah, I forget. I'm sorry.
make it multiply. So this 20 is it's money, right? You said for me.
For you, yes, for you.
But is it also debt?
No, not for me or you. It's not debt for me or you.
Okay. Well, according to this document, this paper, this $20 bill, along with all the other money in my pocket, is in fact debt. This money was printed out of debt, out of necessity, right?
Correct.
So
I agree with that part, for sure.
our entire economy is 26 probably plus trillion in debt right now. So when people pay me for my services, they're using debt. Number one. When I pay for services, I'm using debt.
If that's what you believe, Denzel, that's a belief.
I mean, this is what the United States of America is saying on their piece of paper. It says this note is legal tender for all debts, both public and private. So public institutions and private corporations, every piece of dollar is debt. So this $20 is in fact not $20. And I'm debt free, right? And I make money and I don't have any debt. But this 20 is in fact not $20. And I'm going to prove that. Because if I go to take this $20, I cannot exchange it for real money, which is gold and silver, right? I cannot take this money, this $20. I cannot buy $20 worth of gold and silver. In fact, this $20 is only going to get me a a 0.001, 0.12 grams of gold. So when I look at money and I look at this on how I can take $1, right? So I'm going to remove all the money off the board here for a second. When I look at my money, I take this $1 and I say, how do I make one $3? Right? How do I make $1 $5? So my process is I take this $1 and I put it in life insurance. Right? I put it in permanent, high cash value life insurance, where the $1 does not lose its value. As long as this $1 stays on the desk and I come back 20 years from now, that $1 is going to be worth 2 cents, right? It's going to be worth 14 cents, right? It's going to be worth less than when we originally put this dollar here. So today, this dollar buys maybe 84 cents worth of products and services, right? It's just, or maybe 20 cents, like it's worth nothing, has no intrinsic value. This right here, gold and silver, retains its value. It'll continue to increase. So knowing that, I take the one and I put it in life insurance. So it goes from my checking account, right? And then I put it into my own bank. So I take it out of the banking system in the US, right? Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase. I take it out of their bank and I put it into my own bank, my own life insurance policy. Now, when I buy this life insurance policy, guess what? I'll now have $1 in cash value, but I'm also going to have maybe $3 in death benefit. So now I got $4, okay? Now that $3, I understand that I cannot use that $3 today. It can only get used when I die. I get it. But the $1 that stood in cash value, I'm now going to borrow 90% of that dollar, or maybe between 66 and up to 90% of that dollar. I'm going to take it out, put it back into my checking account, and now I'm going to invest because I'm debt free, right? I'm going to buy gold and silver, which is a hedge against the devaluation of fiat currency. But not only that, I'm going to also invest in personal financial development. I'm going to invest in businesses. I'm going to invest in products and services where this $1 can now become 4, 5, 6, 7, all with $1. $1, right? So that is how I make $1. 1 plus 1 equal 3. 1 plus 1 equals 7, equals 6. And this is what wealthy do, but at a much bigger scale. My goal is to bring that down to scale for someone to understand, like, how do I go through this process? And can I get out of it, effectively? And when we look at the tax code, here's the even bigger benefit, is when I convert from the E and the S quadrant over to the B and the I, right? When I convert from employee and self-employed to business owner and investor, this tax gets removed drastically. So now I'm saving even more dollars by not having to pay high taxes. I get tax credits back to me to use that money to stimulate the economy. And this is the way the US government, major corporations, banks, private institutions change the game of math. Now, math will always be true for people that do not understand how to do this. So 1 plus 1 will always equal 2 for them. But until I understand how to use the initial principle of $1, and I'll even take this biblically. When I receive $1, if I take 10% of that dollar and I give it to a king, the king says that he's going to give me back 100% of my return of my investment. So I just made 10 cents. I gave 10 cents of my dollar to a king, to the King of Kings, and he gives me back 100% return. And I get to use now I've got $10 on top of my 1, and I funnel it through the system. I put it in life insurance. I then borrow it out. I form corporations. I form businesses. I buy real estate. I buy gold and silver, and I go on my merry way. And so I would say that people who are debt free would benefit this the most. People who are in debt have to get educated first, have to commit to a way of being, an attitude, kind of like that psyche, that psychological, the precepts, the concepts, the ideology, the theology, and then ultimately their philosophy on how they view money. But this dollar right here, man, I mean, according to the United States government, the Federal Reserve, this is all debt. It has no value. So if I take these non-existent dollars, if I'm in debt and I take non-existent money, like you say, and I put it towards debt, I don't do anything. I stay in debt for a longer period of time, and I understand the pain. I understand the pain that people need to go through. I completely believe that. But I think that if my mom told me that, hey, do not put your hand on the stove because it's hot, right? And I put my hand on the stove and I burn myself. I get it. I don't do that again, right? And I see your point on why someone would have to feel that pain of putting their hand on the stove for the first time and knowing that that's not okay. But do I have to put my hand on the stove for the next 5 to 7 years, 10 years, 13 years for the sake of paying off debt without any outside help or resources from my United States governmental system? Is that necessary for me to keep my hand on the stove knowing the pain of paying off debt for that long? Is that completely necessary? I know that that's the correct way to handle money, and that would be true if this money was actually money. It would be true if this money actually had value, because this money, I can't exchange it for gold, right? I can't. I need more of it to actually buy what the gold is worth, way more of it. And then when I have it, I can't even use the thing, you know? So I have to remain using this debt. So I have to figure out a way, how do I leverage debt to either become debt-free, invest, create wealth, and create a financial freedom plan, a lifestyle that will supply all my needs, my family's needs, co-workers, friends, and then be a cheerful giver where I pay my taxes, I pay the king's taxes, right, God, and I serve and give to my fellow neighbor. And so that's my notion. Any thoughts on that? How would you feel about that? I know it was a lot, but
No,
just
that's all right. I mean, I just listen. Um, Put it this way, Denzel, I'm gonna tell you something that's going to really help you in your business. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, everything you told me, all the stuff that it turns into, and E and IS quadrant and all this other stuff, it all, I don't even think about any of that stuff. That means absolutely nothing to me, nothing. It all goes back to the dollar, the very first dollar that's on your table. The only reason why everything you told me will work, because that dollar is real to you, because you're not in debt.
Yeah.
So everything you told me, I agree. I'm sure. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me it works. I will believe you. I don't know anything about that. All I'm telling you is this: it all has to start with that dollar that's on that table. It's real because you're not in debt. Now, let me tell you something else. Okay. Now, everything I'm saying is 100% right. And I'm not saying that to bragging. I'm just saying mathematically. All right. Money does not exist in any form for people in debt. Doesn't matter if it's gold, the US dollar, silver, cryptocurrency, it doesn't matter. And I'm gonna give you guys, I'm gonna show, and now I'm not just talking, I'm gonna prove it to you in this room, okay? Imagine I had $2,000 in cash and I had $50,000 in student loan debt. According to mathematics, 2,000 minus 50,000 is negative 48,000. The $2,000 is not even there. Let's move the U.S. currency off the table. $2,000 worth of gold. $2,000 worth of gold minus $50,000 in student loan debt is still negative 49,000. Let's move off the gold. Let's put up $2,000 worth of silver. $2,000 worth of silver minus $50,000 of student loan debt, still negative 49,000. Silver doesn't matter. Let's put $2,000 worth of cryptocurrency in its many quadrillion many forms. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. $2,000 in cryptocurrency minus $50,000 of student loan debt is still negative $49,000. Okay? Currency in any form or fashion doesn't even exist for people in debt. If they believe they have $2,000 worth of gold, I guess they just believe it. If they believe they have $2,000 in their hand, they could be holding it in their hand. And I could tell them $2,000 minus $50,000 worth of student loan debt is negative $48,000. That $2,000 is not even in your hand. See what I'm saying? It all starts, all that stuff you just told me, Denzel, it all starts with that $1 bill that you just told me that you can. I believe you're going to turn that dollar bill into this money, put it in that life insurance, and then it's going to quadruple, and then put in some gold, it's going to go up, all because you had the dollar from the very beginning. Period. Now I'm going to ask you something, Denzel. Is my math correct?
Now.
Is my math, no, is my math correct? That's either a yes or no. Is my math correct? $2,000 worth of gold minus $50,000 in student loan debt is negative 48,000. Is my math correct?
Now, I'm going to have to be on the no and the yes side because it depends on who.
Okay, so hold up just a second. No, now Denzel's telling me he wants to be on the no side. So this is what I want everybody to do. I want you to pick up your calculators, open up your phones, and I want you to put in 2,000 minus 50,000. I want us to all be on the same page, all of us. Okay? Put it in the calculator right now. What is it? Put it in the chat. I want to make sure I'm right. I'm coming up with negative $48,000. Put it in the chat, please. Because I just want, and this is not nothing against you, Denzel. I'm trying to show you guys something. Is my math correct?
It's correct for the person that does not understand
how
to use that.
Not a person. I'm not take out people, take out feelings, take out where you're from. Because math is universal. Math is universal. Is it negative 48,000?
Right.
That's all I'm asking.
Right. In your situation, correct.
No, not my situation, Denzel.
It is though.
Denzel, you got to stop saying that because you're saying my situation that I own mathematics. I don't own mathematics. I don't own mathematics. I didn't invent it. That's why I'm asking you, Denzel. Okay, put it this way, Denzel. What is 2,000? Take off the money. Maybe the money symbol's throwing you off. Take off the money symbols. What is 2,000 minus 50,000?
48.
What is it?
48.
No, you got to say it.
Negative.
Negative 48.
Right. So you're correct. I agree.
That's it.
So we'll keep that there. I totally agree with that.
You have to. No, wait, Denzel. You have to agree with it.
No,
it's not a choice. Stop saying it like you have a choice. You have to agree with that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now go on.
I have to agree with that.
Correct. All right. That's all I wanted to hear.
Right, because that's math on a calculator.
What?
That's math on a calculator.
Denzel, you got to listen, man. You got to stop saying things like that. Okay, math is math. Yeah. You got to stop saying that if it's different if I put it in a calculator or if I wrote it down. You got to stop saying stuff like that, man. You have to.
But this is how the kingdom of the United States works. I mean, how do I get around that?
There is no getting around math. Stop thinking. You can't. That's impossible. You cannot get around math ever. Nobody can in the world.
But the United States government has declared that all money is debt. How do I get around that?
I didn't say money. I said math.
Right, but we're dealing with money, right? Because I want to bring this to the reality. I understand that 50,000 minus 10,000 gives me 40, or right. I know that, but now come into this world now. Come here. How do I talk to an individual that is a citizen of the United States of America?
Yes.
Where all money is debt from 1971 up until this point.
That's a
from
belief, Denzel. I'm telling you, that's a belief.
the
Money's not debt to me. It's not debt to
so
me.
so you believe that
No, I
this
know
this
that.
this money.
I know that. Stop saying use. I don't use the words believe. Okay, I want you to hear the words that I use. I know debt is not money. Debt is money's not debt to me. I know $2,000 minus 50, 2,000 minus 50,000 is negative 48,000. I know that.
Correct.
Okay.
Now $2,000 worth of gold today is going to be worth more tomorrow and
It
the
doesn't
next day
matter how
after
much
that.
it's worth if you can't even buy it.
Well, we're
You can't
talking
even buy
we're
it. It doesn't
we're
matter how much gold is worth. It doesn't matter.
well, I want to stay in the realm of debt-free individuals,
Okay.
right?
All right. Cool. I'm glad you specified
So,
that.
so
I'm listening.
because the original question was how does Denzel multiply this money, and
Correct.
how do I get around that
And I'm
notion?
telling you, I agree with what you're doing.
Okay,
I agree. Everything you wrote on that board, I agree with you, Denzel.
but as soon as someone goes into debt, that's it. It can't
No, I'm
work.
saying anybody in debt cannot mathematically, it's mathematically impossible to do what you said because they don't even have the
Right.
money to begin with.
All right. So
That's it.
let's use me as an example.
Okay.
If I go and buy a $300,000 home, right? So
Buy or finance.
let's finance it for the
We got to
sake
make
of.
sure we use the right words. You're going to
Yep.
finance a house. Okay, go.
Yep.
Okay, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, so let's say I finance
Hmm.
a 30-year mortgage, a $300,000 property, and it's going to be a 4-2, right, in South Florida somewhere, or maybe up north where the properties are much bigger, like Loxahatchee and
You're
whatnot.
talking about yourself.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
So
By the way, let me tell you right here, Denzel, I'm going to agree with everything you're going to say. Okay, so go ahead. Because
well,
we're talking about you.
right.
Okay.
So if if I finance 300K, I'm now in debt, right?
Yeah. What is this house for? Personally or business?
This is going to be my goal right now is to actually finance a property to live in, where I will redirect the amount of money that I pay for an office right now.
You mean rent from yourself, right, Denzel? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
home
A lot of
based
people don't
business.
understand that, what you're saying. I agree with you.
Okay.
Hmm.
Right. So I'm going to live in it, but it's going to be a home-based business, and I'm going to redirect cash flow back to that to pay the property down. But my intention is not to actually pay it off. But I'm still in debt, correct? Right? I mean, I make
If
so
you're
my income is 20,000 a month.
okay, put it this way,
I
Denzel.
spend
Is
10.
that house under your name or is it under a business name?
It'll be most likely under my own name.
Okay, then yes, that's debt.
Yep.
Okay, that's debt. I agree, that's debt.
Because my business is still building credit. So I most likely would have to use my personal credit to obtain that property if I do not want to use cash to pay for it.
Correct,
So,
that's debt. Mhm.
so here are my numbers. So currently I have no debt, but if I go and finance this property for 300,000 on the personal, now I'm in debt.
Yeah.
Now, at any point in time, I can always convert, put that mortgage in a trust, right? And I can work things around later once I get my business credibility up and all that good stuff. But if I got this 300K that I'm now borrowing, and I used pre-existing debt to get it, right? You're saying that now it can't work for me.
For you?
Yeah, because
No, I would trust anything you're doing. I don't know what you're trying to do there, but I trust that you're doing it right.
So what's the difference between me and, say, the 105 people in this room? Let's say some of them are debt free and some of them are not, and they want to do something like this where they leverage pre-existing debt. Like, say for example, they have a personal line of credit for $100,000 at maybe Wells Fargo,
And they're in
or
debt already?
they're in debt already, but they have this $100,000 line of credit. There's no balance owed on it, right?
Right, but they have additional debt at their disposal.
Correct. They have other debt, like say they got a car payment or and they got a mortgage, right?
Got, gotcha.
And this client wants to obtain another property. They're
Okay.
going to, use it as an investment, right? Or they want to, do some Airbnb, some renting, whatever it is. I mean, they're now, and they're going to use more debt to get this property instead of using their cash, right? That is left over after all their bills are paid. Instead of taking that non-existent money, right, that you talk about, instead of taking that non-existent money and putting it on their debt to pay it down. And I'm making the argument that the money that I make, the 20,000, and when I spend the 10 and I have 10 left over, that 10 is still debt. It's still debt. So the 90, 100, 105, 100 people watching, whether it's this money, the money that they bring in, the money that they spend, the money that they have in debt, the money that they have in savings, emergency, the money they have in their investment, the money that the credit that they have, all of it is debt. So what makes the difference between someone like myself that is debt-free versus someone that maybe is on the way to becoming debt-free? Maybe they're not so far in debt. Maybe they're only maybe they only have 50K left in debt, but they make 20 grand a year. I mean, they make 20 grand a month, like myself. And instead of spending time removing that last 50, they could make a move like this, obtaining a piece of real estate, buying assets, buying investments that could easily wipe that debt off the board. Would that be?
It's because they believe they have a mathematical choice to do what you're saying on that board. That's what they believe. Like, let's just use an example. Let's say like their cash flow was $5,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say it's $5,000, and then they have student loan debt of $50,000.
Right.
5,000 minus 50,000 equals the money they have to invest.
Right. Which is
So what are they going to
zero.
invest with that money? What are they going to invest?
Well, according to what you're saying, they can't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. According, not to me, not according to me, Denzel. Let's take me out of the equation. According to mathematics, they can't. If math didn't exist, we would not even have the ability to count money. We would get a stack of money and we'd be like, what do we do with this? What do we do with these green pieces of paper? What do we do with this? Count? What's that? What's that mean? And then math came along, and then we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we learned how to count. So according to math, they can't do anything. So why do people still believe that they can, even though math is telling them that they can't? So again, if I show them this on a piece of paper and they believe that they can, Denzel, I'm going to send them your way.
I see.
Because I believe in what you're saying. I want to make sure I have the connection right.
Yeah.
I 100% believe in what you're saying. It will work for a person who is debt-free. But it's only a belief for a person who's in debt. But if they still want to believe it, they can go right ahead.
Right. So coming back to me, if I put myself in debt, then everything I set on the board is not going to work.
It's different because you're not in debt. You have a plan that's not the normal plan for the average person.
Gotcha. But if the
all
average,
all that stuff you're saying,
yeah,
the average person doesn't know any of that.
But if I can teach the average person, this is where I fall short with a lot of what the like a Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman is. We limit people to getting this knowledge and information. What is the difference between Denzel Rodriguez, 24 years old, and someone that is a 58-year-old man that has a wife and 3 kids that's in debt? Why can't they do what I do and get results? And why is it impossible for them but possible for me? Is there a cultural difference? Is this a racial thing, a political thing? I don't think so. I think it's a matter of
Mm-mm.
Knowledge, getting access to the information and acting on that information. The Bible says that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And he went a step further. Jesus went a step further and said that the rich, right, has your money. The wicked has our money. The reason why the wicked and the rich, whether they're righteous or unrighteous, believers or non-believers, the reason why those people have money and you and I and our people that are watching right now do not have access to wealth is because we do not know how to manage resources. We do not know how to produce and multiply resources. So if I can teach my people, right, how to multiply resources in the environment that they live under, right? Because if we were in Africa, things would be different, right? If we were in Bahamas, if we were in another country, money would function differently. We would have to learn their system because that's their system. Now, regardless of what math says on a calculator, regardless of who even invented math, we're living in an environment now where we have gone against the rules of basic financial information. How does one operate? How does a millennial like myself that is raised in an environment where every person is in debt, the whole entire country is in debt, we owe a bunch of money to other superpowers like China and other countries. How do I get ahead? Or must I
Tell you,
or
I
must
have the answer for you,
or
Denzel.
must I stay stuck in this simple way of doing things knowing that I'm going to go slower? Like the math shows that I could go faster. And I think that's the biggest goal for people is they want to pay off debt faster. They want to produce more and be more effective so
Mm-hmm.
that they can serve their God, give to the church, be a cheerful giver, and ultimately live in abundance like the wealthy do and get access to the wealthy because Jesus is saying that, hey, I've stored up all your wealth in the rich man's hands because you don't know how to operate money yet. Jesus goes a step further and he says, hey, go make yourselves friends with the rich, not the poor and the uneducated. He says, go make yourself friends of the rich because they will give you the knowledge to utilize debt. You know, I'll even go a step further and say God himself puts every human being in debt because he says, look, I built this land, I created earth, all the water, all the animals, all the resources, I own it all. I, God, owns it all, right? God owns it all. And he's saying, manage that. And when you manage it, I'll give you more. But you have to pay me 10%. So in my opinion, it's like I'm always in debt. So I'm not concerned about the amount of money I'm in debt or the amount of interest. It's a matter of how do I operate debt in a debt-driven society until our leaders figure out a way to return back to a gold standard. Until we figure out how to go back to a gold standard, then this money will retain its value. And then all the major concepts out there regarding debt and how to pay it off could potentially fumble on themselves. I mean, especially if we go into a negative interest rate environment. How do we guide our clients? Like, how do you guide your clients if they're actually going to get paid to borrow debt? Are you going to tell them don't do that? I mean, because this is very real. The feds have already factored in negative interest rates. The United States of America has never experienced this right before. So we're stepping on thin ice here. How do we guide our clients? And that's what I'm getting at here is what is the difference between Denzel being in debt, putting himself into debt with a plan versus somebody else that puts themselves into debt with a plan to not only get out but prosper and have more.
All right, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this because I'm gonna be talking to you, Denzel. Really,
Yeah.
and we're gonna bring it up a level. Okay. I want you to understand where it comes to race, religion, where you live, uh, whatever. Those are all distractions. That has absolutely nothing to do with math. Nothing. Everybody learned basic math. You don't even need to know mathematics. You have a calculator. Anything with religion and feelings and color and race and all this other debt is the colorblind slave master. All it sees is green. So to the young people that say, hey, every person's in debt, watch the words that you use. Every person's not in debt. Me and you are an example. So when you hear somebody say every, they only can be talking about themselves because right out of their mouth, it's not true. I'm not in debt. You're not in debt, Denzel. The entire world is this and that in debt. No, it's not. I'm not. Denzel is not. We can prove it. We're not in debt. And for you, Denzel, this is how you know. Your credit report and my credit report looks a certain way. It has a bunch of zeros with a high credit score. This is how I'm able to tell from anybody if they know anything about money. I ask to see their personal credit report. I do exactly the way the big businesses do. Anything you try to get finances, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to pull your credit report. People in debt believe they're only looking at their credit score. No, they're looking to see how much debt you're in. And if you even understand mathematics. So if a person comes to a bank looking for a house with a 20-year-old student loan, the bank automatically knows if this person went to college for 4 years, but been paying on their student loan for 20 years, the probability of them ever mathematically paying off a $30,000 house is near impossible. That's it. And everything I'm saying, I can show you with mathematics. Everything I'm saying, I can prove. Math is an exact science. Yes. That means it's never wrong. Yes. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Denzel?
I do. I really do. When in this environment that we're in.
It doesn't matter the environment. You can choose. Like you see what's going on right now? That has nothing to do with me. Nothing. Especially now, I'm not talking about the virus. I'm talking about the financial stuff. I'm just watching. I don't pay attention to what the housing market's doing because the housing market, that's definitely going to crash. That's going down. That's going to be the biggest housing crash in history ever. You know how? This is why. Millions of people with no jobs. Millions of unemployed people with no jobs to even get to pay their mortgage equals a housing market crash like you've never seen before. That's just mathematics. I have no idea why the majority can't see that. And I'm telling you this, Denzel, because they're conditioned to believe that.
Right. So could your way be a belief in some
No,
sense?
Denzel, now I'm glad you asked me that. Is my math right? Does
Yep.
that make sense to you? Millions of no jobs means millions of people are unemployed.
Yeah.
That means millions of people that cannot pay their mortgages. Does that make mathematical sense?
Oh no, that doesn't. There's going to be a lot of opportunities there, and a lot of people are going to hurt.
Listen, I'm just talking about math. Forget the opportunities. Forget what's going to happen, what you can get into. Is my math right?
That people are going to hurt. Yes.
Is my math right? You keep throwing in feelings. I take out the feelings. Is my math right?
On your previous question, you just said that millions of people with no jobs, mortgage.
Equals millions of people that can't pay their mortgage, right? If they have no job, they can't pay their mortgages, right?
Right.
That means they're going to go into foreclosure, correct? Because they can't pay their mortgage, right?
Yes.
Then that means millions of foreclosures, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, then that means my math is correct, right?
Right. Yeah. The math is correct there.
So that means housing market crash, correct?
Of course. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
do you believe there's going to be a big one coming? I mean, nothing can stop it.
I believe so. I believe that if they do not figure out, see, now we're just talking about, we're predicting what the market's going to do. Now, it can
No.
definitely crash, but see, I don't know, man, because this current pandemic that we're in has nothing to do with what happened in '08. '08 was a mismanagement of funds and
Oh yeah, I'm not even
resources.
comparing '08.
You know,
You notice I
so
didn't bring up
so
'08. There's nothing in
so
comparison to this.
so
No.
this is going to be a lot worse, which is why they may introduce negative interest rates and forbearance, which they're already doing now, and these stimulus checks and all this free money that's coming to people. I'm sure You got some, I know I got some free money from the government too.
Hmm.
So what happens then, right? When people do not have money
Hmm.
to pay for things, what are they going to do? They're going to borrow. So if we can show them how to borrow effectively, then we get to keep them out of that. We
So
get
they're
to
going to borrow themselves out of debt.
correct, because that's what velocity banking teaches is
I
how
know.
to
And my
borrow
question to you, I'm
effectively.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
During this pandemic, Denzel, the banks, as you can see, they're tightening up everything, right? They're about to cut everything off because there's about to be a housing market crash. So how is velocity banking going to work when people can't even borrow money because they have no jobs? I'm
Right.
curious about that.
Yeah, so velocity banking will always continue to work for the people who are prepared. And this is where another commonality comes into place as we continue on this live stream here is that I have people do pregame work when it comes to velocity banking. And a lot of that pregame work involves doing that snowball, positioning themselves for velocity banking. So banks like Wells Fargo, Chase, even Bank of America, these major banks, when it comes to velocity banking, I don't go to them. I go to the smaller banks, the credit unions, the federal credit unions, the ones that are less likely to be
Well, no, I mean
really,
we're in a
really hurt.
pandemic. You know they're not going to be loaning out that money. That's what I'm asking. We're in an
Well,
unforeseen ever pandemic. So what
right.
I'm trying to understand, they're not going to be loaning any money, especially like you said, if we go to negative interest rates. So how is velocity banking going to work?
Oh, it'll continue to work for people who are prepared, people who have the credit, the good credit scores, and the
So they're going to
banking,
loan
the
money to
banking.
people with no jobs?
Prepared means you have money coming in. So velocity banking only works, and I mean that snowball only works if there's money coming in. If you don't
Yes,
have money coming in, no concept works. I mean,
correct.
I'm sure we would agree on that. Now, these millions of people that are out of jobs, it's not because there's no jobs available. It's because of the environment of social distancing. And once we return back to an environment where we can all be around each other again, then things will be fine. Now, obviously, during that time, people are going to lose because they did not know how to manage resources. And what I'm saying is people that are in my kingdom, people that listen to what I say and they do what I say and they follow the steps accordingly, that they are prepared for these disasters,
When you
for
say kingdom, what does
crisis.
that mean? When you say in my kingdom, what does that mean?
A kingdom is it's an environment over which an individual or a higher being has authority over. So,
You're talking about your religion.
no, no. So a kingdom's not a religion, right? Like if we look at like Rome, we look at the British Empire, we look at any kingdom in history, right? It was an actual government system. It's a governmental system, right? So with a kingdom, there's a king, a ruler, right? So when people come to my channel, I'm the ruler, I'm the king on my channel. When
You're
they be
talking about our current system, right? What we're in right now.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
even like yeah, even in today's term now
So you're
we
referring
don't
to the government as a kingdom.
correct. The United
Okay.
States government is a kingdom. Every
All right.
country on earth has kingdom-like characteristics.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
we call it democracy, others call it communism, socialism, dictatorship. All
Hmm.
of it has a kingdom-like structure where there's rulers or one ruler um, or multiple cabinets, and then those cabinets release laws, right? Laws get put into place, and then the citizens follow those laws accordingly. When a citizen does not follow the law, they reap a consequence, right? They have to do with a particular suffering, a pain, a consequence. But when a citizen that is in a kingdom, when they are operating like a king and they're performing like the king has displayed the environment to be, then they prosper. Just like God himself, he created earth and he created these laws so that we could operate and produce and multiply and be fruitful. When we deviate from that, we lose our rights. So in the United States of America, when people lose their job because they thought that was part of the system for them to prosper, and then they realize, holy crap, I need multiple streams of income. So they now have lost their rights to take advantage or utilize or leverage banking products, banking tools, banking resources for them to leverage debt to their advantage to make money, right? So when people enter my kingdom, they become a client and they work with me one-on-one. I teach them how to operate on the other side of banks, how to be the bank's best friend, where they're not discriminating against me because of my skin color. Because stuff like that does happen, and that's why we have to factor in all these things. Environment, so it can't always just be math, because there's the environment, there's the race, there's the political, right? People of certain cultures will not have access to certain information like I do, and others, right? Especially Hispanics and blacks. I mean, this is facts. There's banks that will target us, Hispanics and blacks, to reduce us from achieving and obtaining that information. So when I get a person, no matter what culture they come from, what religion they come from, they're now surrendering to my kingdom, my rulership, on how they're going to operate with their finances in the US. And when they execute these things, no matter what happens, when another coronavirus comes, any sort of crisis or pandemic, they'll still be able to operate. Whereas others are going to lose their homes, they're going to get foreclosure, they're going to lose their jobs. My people are going to have multiple streams of income. They're going to have multiple debt tools, or debt weapons is what people call it, to be able to utilize to keep them afloat and survive and actually thrive in a crisis, because I have them follow kingdom principles, kingdom-like behaviors, such as giving, receiving, multiplication, productivity, being a cheerful giver. These are all attitudes and behaviors that you have to have in order to execute any concept effectively in this world. So, with all that being said, how does velocity banking work in a crisis? Very simple. It works for those who are prepared. So I have a line of credit. All my clients have personal line of credits and HELOCs that have not been frozen or have not been canceled because they are credit worthiness. I know you understand. I understand that you talk a lot about how, if I'm going to get investment for someone, I need to see their credit report. Well, the only way a person is going to have great credit is if they utilized, is if they utilize debt.
Their entire report, not their credit score, their entire report. I want to make sure that's a distinction.
Right. Well, your credit report implies that you have a good credit score because you're debt free.
No, I'm saying that's not what I'm looking for.
You're looking to see if they have debt.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay, so you're not focusing on the score per se.
Not at all. Not at all.
But still, in order to have any credit report whatsoever, you would have needed to use debt at some point in your life,
Correct.
whether it be a credit card. So what is the difference between me using a credit card to pay for bills and expenses, pay off debt, right? How come it changes when I want to use credit cards or a line of credit to pay off debt faster versus someone that's not in debt and they're using credit to accelerate their lives? How come the person that's in debt cannot
because
use...
because that doesn't exist to them. That mathematically, that doesn't exist. If they're in debt and they go get a credit card, that means they're $5,000 more in debt, according to mathematics. I'm only talking about math. I don't involve feelings when it comes to math. I just say, okay, if they're $50,000 in debt and they go get a $5,000 credit card and they use it, now they're $55,000 in debt. But for some reason, they believe they're going to dig themselves. They're going to go deeper in debt. Now I'm trying to put this in my mind. They're going to go deeper in debt to get out of debt faster. It just doesn't make it. So if you do a number scale, like zeros in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then below it is -1, -2. I imagine this: they're $50,000 below zero. They're going to go get a $5,000 credit card, HELOC, whatever you want to call it. So they're going to dig themselves into $55,000 worth of debt. But for some reason, by them doing that, it's going to get them out of debt closer to zero faster. That just doesn't make sense to me. That's all.
Yeah, although you still agree that it can work, because you've mentioned that earlier. You agree with everything I'm saying. It's just a matter of the person at the end of the day.
I agree it would work for you, not a person in debt. Any person not in debt, yes, it will work. Everything you're saying, because I believe in you.
I see.
If I was like, if I needed your services or I needed to know something that you teach, I would say I'm going to Denzel because I know he knows his stuff. But I would not send a person in debt to you. But if they find you on their own and say, "Hey, I believe in what Denzel's saying," I'm like, "Cool, go with Denzel." You still are gonna steer them right, okay? We still have the same goals. You're still gonna take
that's
them
good.
whatever and I want everybody in this room to understand this. Me and Denzel and I are going to the same goal. We're just taking different paths. All I'm saying is that I would not send somebody that's in the negative, that think they can do everything you're doing, but if they believe they can do it, Denzel's the person that's going to help you believe it to do it. That's the best way I could say it.
Okay, that's that's powerful, and I think we can.
Man. It is, and I know people hear me talk the way I talk. I speak like this because I'm only talking mathematics. I'm not saying anything fancy. I'm not saying I'm the smartest dude in the world. I'm just using the math that I learned in grade school. That's it.
Right.
That's all I'm doing.
And I guess I can just finish off that it helps to have a foundation, which is key. And that's what I think ultimately you are providing on your channel, is a foundational beginning, starting phase. So when I come across people that are just not ready for me, because I have a lot of people, even some that are watching right now, they're just not ready for that. And rather than me try to teach them such a complex concept that they can't get in their head right away, because it takes time, then I would rather send them to Debt Snowball. Hey, do that, get that down right, get your money right, spend less money, make more money, keep more money.
Go see Denzel. Go see him. Go watch his videos. Watch what he does with insurance. Watch what he does with HELOCs. Watch what he does with refinancing the house and this and that. I say do everything he's saying, because you can see that he knows how to do it. I have no idea how to do any of that. None.
Okay. And then to finish things off with one last thing, and I'll just kind of see if I can scroll through some Q&As here, because there's a lot of people chatting.
I see them chatting in there.
Yeah, I'll try to highlight some folks here.
Are you going to put those up on the screen?
Yeah, I can put it up on the screen.
Okay, I got to make sure I time that right, though.
Yeah, so when it comes to paying off debt, if somebody is saving money and investing money, would you kind of steer them in a different direction? Like, hey, maybe investing money is not like the wisest, like just a portion. I'm not saying like a lot of their money, but like, they got money going in a 401k. Could they temporarily reduce that?
Is this a debt-free person?
No, this is a person that's in debt.
I wouldn't tell them to invest in anything. Right. It's impossible.
It's impossible, right? Even if their employer is doing the matching and all that, like
doesn't matter. You can't match negative. You can't match negative dollars.
Right. And when it comes to saving money, do you tell them, like what Dave Ramsey says, have like some sort of buffer in case things hit the fan, things go bad?
Well, yeah, remember, same thing with Dave Ramsey. You have to save up an emergency fund first before you start paying off debt. So yes.
Right. Okay. Well, I agree with that as well. I have a lot of my clients do that, so that's another commonality. I guess the only like change is like, where do they save that money? In their shoebox, in a savings account, in a CD?
Save what money?
The emergency fund. It's like, where are they actually saving that money?
I think it shouldn't be in anything, because they're deep in debt. And when they're I think about the psychological part of it, right?
Yeah.
If a person's in debt, they're already in fear, right? And you tell them that they have to save $1,000, that already throws them into a fear, because they think, oh my God, only $1,000. They don't realize that even that $1,000 is not there. But They need something to have cash just in case, so they could say, go to the bank, get it. Not fill out paperwork, go through a process. They want to just be able to go to the bank, get it, pay for something. That's the purpose of an emergency fund.
Gotcha.
I would not recommend investing the emergency fund. I would not recommend that.
Okay. Even though the money is gonna, continue to like lower in value.
No, I wouldn't care. That value up, down, it doesn't matter at that moment.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good. All right, let me see if I can look at some.
Okay, 1 second too. I've been drinking a lot of water. 1 second.
That's all right. I'm gonna scroll back up to the top here. We're gonna spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes just to shout out some people. I got Albert in the house here. Says hello. Let's see. We got a cool question there. How can velocity banking? Well, if I can't get a HELOC or a line of credit, and that's another perfect case of saying, hey, you have to be prepared for velocity banking in order to do it. And this is where what Linnell is teaching, or just debt snowball in general, that's the starting ground. I got a lot of people talking about mathematics. Let's see. Some great questions here. A lot of opinions. I know we brought up, looks like people are talking about race and political stuff, because at the end of the day, it does have an influence on how we think, and how we operate. Let's see. Hello to Gabriel. I like Gabriel, Linnell. I know he's one of your followers. I like him because he's on the side of, he's just like, I don't use nothing. I like people like that. I was just saying while you were gone. Gabriel, one of your followers. I like him a lot because he's someone that's just like, I don't use debt at all. Like,
Right.
I don't care about credit card usage or anything. I like people like that because at least I know that's their one way.
True.
And if it gets them to where they want to go to, fine by me. You know what I mean? I can't argue with that.
Right.
Let's see. Some cool questions here.
I guess you can read it to me over the mic, and then I can answer it instead of trying to wait to read it.
Yeah, I actually put it up on the screen.
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna get that screen, even your screen later. You know what I'm saying? It's delayed.
Oh, true.
So if you read it to me, then I can answer it while it's up there.
Yeah, I'm looking for like a question pointed to you.
Okay.
There's just a lot of a lot of people going back and forth.
Right.
Gabriel saying some good stuff. So crypto has a cool question. Cash flow quadrant, LJ isn't factoring that. I think this was going back to kind of like when I was talking about how people can shift from being an employee, like working for the man, and figuring out a way how can they work for themselves and make money themselves, so that no matter what, they always have money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So are you familiar with that whole Robert Kiyosaki and the cash flow quadrant?
I am. Mm-hmm.
So why is crypto saying this? Maybe you weren't clear.
Because Robert Kiyosaki is not talking to people in debt. He's talking to people like you and me. He's not talking to people in debt.
Okay, so he's a higher level thinker.
Yo, when he talks money, he's talking business loans. When he says, "Oh, I love using debt," remember, Denzel, he's talking business. He's not talking personal at all.
Okay.
He's not talking personal. He's talking business.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not talking to people in debt. They just think he's talking to them. He's not.
Right. Okay. And then we got Martin saying that's a belief. I think he was referring back to what I'm doing is a belief and what you're doing is a belief, because it's a system that an individual follows. Just like believing in God, I mean, that's a belief. And then for some people, it goes as far as you making the claim, no, I know God is real, or I know, God's the Almighty. I know Jesus Christ rise from the dead, even though I never saw it, or I know velocity banking is true, even though others may not believe it or think there's a better way. So would you have like a what would be your thoughts on that? Like when people
The
say
best
that.
way I can say, I'm gonna try to say this very clearly. Math is not a belief. Don't if if you understand what I'm saying, don't ever say out loud in public that you believe math is a belief, because it's not a belief. I
Hmm.
did not invent it. It's been here before I was born. It will be here after I'm dead. Anything I say is based on mathematics.
Hmm.
So it's not that I believe what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying is to be true because I have a calculator here that can prove it. So
Man,
that's what I'm trying my best to say it.
yeah.
It seemed like, I swear to you, it seemed like I must be talking a foreign language. I don't really get why people don't understand what I'm saying, but
Well, we are. we
right.
we
But
are
people
talking a
still don't
foreign
believe
language.
it though.
We are talking foreign language. Here's another one that's really
Mhm.
interesting. It says LJ is basing math on arithmetic. Denzel is
See what I'm
using
saying? Now,
multiplication.
who wrote that? That doesn't mean math is being based on arithmetic. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Yes, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what I guess they're making the case in my favor for, like, when I borrow debt, when I borrow money, yes, I go into more debt, but what am I doing with that
Isn't
money?
multiplication part of mathematics?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I don't get why he's saying LJ is biasing math and arithmetic. Me and Denzel are using the same thing.
Hmm.
I don't get questions like that. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be a little tough.
See what I'm saying? Not tough. Denzel, say it for what it is. That doesn't make sense. And put it this way, Denzel, and I'm not even saying anything negative to the person that put that up there. If he knew, listen what I'm saying to you, Denzel. If he knew that didn't make sense, he wouldn't have wrote that. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'm not even saying nothing negative about him. I'm just saying what is.
Right.
That's it.
Let's see. Inflation. Crypto winning here is talking about, doesn't understand inflation. When it does, so when it comes to paying off debt, you have to factor in inflation and the time value of money. If I'm going to spend my next 5 years paying off debt, at what cost would that have if I would have directed this money somewhere else? So I guess he's making that case, and I understand that argument. That could be valid for someone that is a business owner that's like, dude, instead of paying off my freaking debt, on the personal side, I could go take my cash flow, throw it in my business, and make a ton of money, and just pay the debt off later and be done with it, and I'll never go back into it. I guess some people can do that, but not everyone.
See, that's what I understand again. Why do people in debt believe they have the option to invest when they know it's not mathematically true? Why do they believe that? I don't get that. I
Well,
don't understand why people in debt believe they can invest with money that doesn't exist. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, we can look at like organizations, nonprofits that, people have an idea, they have an invention,
Mhm.
and they have to seek capital, venture capital, like that show Shark Tank. All these people with these amazing products,
They need to borrow
and
money,
they need
right?
to borrow money.
Right.
They borrow the money, they make a ton, right?
Right. I mean,
So,
if they understand that they have to borrow money, I get
yeah,
it. Okay. Just
yeah,
say to yourself, in order for me to do that venture, I got to go deeper in debt. They
deeper
should
in
say
debt,
that to themselves.
right? And
That's
and
all.
and I'm sure a lot of people believe that. They're like, okay, I know I gotta go into debt. Here's a shark who has money and is willing to lend it to me at a particular interest rate so that they can make money on their money. And I think this is the beauty of how debt can operate effectively in an economy. Like, I do believe that there's corporations and institutions that prey on the weak-minded individual and the uneducated. They give these drastic, ridiculous interest rates. Like, the Bible talks about for people who are believers, like he even mentions that, you shouldn't charge your fellow brother an interest rate when you lend money to him, right? That's a very, very steep, radical concept to introduce in a marketplace where people just want to get the best return for the money when they lend money out. They want to give money like a shark. Even me, I know I'm going to be stepping into the lending space soon. but I want to be ethical about it, and like, I don't want to charge somebody 15% amortized, 20% rates to say pay off their debt or fund their venture. Maybe they have an invention or an idea, or angel investing, right? So debt has its purpose. I mean, would you agree? It can work good,
Yes.
right? It could work good if used properly. So I usually always say that in my video. It's like, it's got to be used properly
And
for
I
it to.
believe anything you're saying, thinking in your head right now, Denzel,
Mm-hmm.
I 100% believe you.
Yeah, just
Whatever
me.
you're, all the stuff you're talking, I'm amazed by listening to you. Oh, I'm about to jump into the lending space. I'm not going to charge this ridiculous rate because you can.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing to me. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. I believe you can do it, not a person in debt.
Gotcha. And will you do it?
Would I do what?
Like, when are you going to get to the point of investing? I'm curious on that.
When I'm done investing in myself.
Okay.
I'm the only person that can get me where I want to get to.
Gotcha.
There's not an investment out there that's going to get me to the goal that I have than me.
I see.
Hmm.
I see. All right, we got an interesting question here. With Denzel strategy, get out of debt faster, paying the less amount of interest. So that's the argument. I see, but that's not really directed towards you.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can find another one. A couple more minutes here. It's 2 o'clock now. So we're 2 hours in. I know I mean, this is
It's
fun
good, man.
stuff.
It's
This is
good.
fun stuff. So I appreciate you taking your time.
Hey, man, I'm
and
looking forward to it.
and the people, I gotta say, between your community and my community, these people stay on. There's
Yeah,
98
yeah.
people in the house right now. At one point,
I love it.
115 people at
I
one
love it.
point. So this is impactful.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find another one here. Let's see. Okay, this is a good kind of like Scorpions. Like, I mean, they are both correct, and that's the dilemma I think people have a
Right.
lot of time.
Hmm.
Let's see. So why is it that people with billions in debt control so many assets? Super
Why
relax.
is that a question for me?
Maybe towards both of us. He says, so why is it that people with billions in debt control so many assets?
Hmm.
What would you say to that?
Because it's business debt.
It's business debt.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's normal. Of course, there's taxes. What they don't understand, Denzel, when you get to that level, there's tax advantages.
Yes.
Period.
There's the
You get to that
crossover.
level, you're legally never paying taxes again. Legally, ever.
Because the system is built that way,
Correct.
right? And it's not a favoritism thing.
No,
It's not a race thing. It's not a
mm-mm.
political thing even. It's just
Nothing. It's nothing. It's just math. That's it. It's nothing more than that.
so
It doesn't. Math doesn't favor anybody.
yeah. So the math does change
Hmm.
eventually.
You know that. You know that.
Okay. All right. We have people saying God bless. Have a good weekend.
It's good, man. I like it.
Yeah, David. Mr. Diesel says, in life, not everybody will like your own concept. That's true.
Correct.
Um, let's see. I think a lot of people, I'm seeing a lot of, I'm kind of scrolling past the negative stuff.
Right.
But we got Sanja says, he's not closed-minded. He gets what Denzel is saying and agrees with the concept.
Hmm.
So I do like that. And I feel like when people are discovering, they're searching for information, at least they can find people that are like, look, even though I don't do that, I'm not condemning it. I'm not saying that it's terrible and you should never do it. But what I am saying is have your priorities in line. So
And
to
you know what,
speak.
Denzel? Let me say this to you and to everybody in this room. The main thing, regardless of Denzel's concept, my concept, the number one thing is trust. Do you trust Denzel? Do my trust? Can my clients trust me? If they give me money, will I take it and run, or will I give them what they're asking for? When you give Denzel your money, do you believe Denzel's going to take your money and run off? No. All you got to do is look at Denzel's channel. Does it look like that's a person that's going to take off and steal your money or con you or scam you? No. You can go to my page. I got hundreds, 500 plus videos. That's somebody that's going to be here. He's going to be here. I'm going to be here, regardless of the concept. Trust is the key.
Nice.
Without trust, there's nothing.
Yeah. I think EA 8851, I believe that's one of your followers as well. He's like, I'm good. This guy just talks about simple math. We're talking about money and debt. Oh no, I think that's one of my followers. Never mind.
Ooh, you're gonna be in trouble now, Denzel.
No, I actually think that's a because I have another EA and I think it was worded differently. That's why I got a little confused. Oh man, you get so many people, talking and
Right.
following you, man. It can be a little
I
tough
love
to
it,
keep
man.
up.
Look all the people you got in your life, man. They want to hear it. I like that.
Yes. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. Money is not about feelings or emotions. It's about business and making sound business decisions. Okay, so that's just a statement towards both of us. I would agree. Beverly is saying we're all debt free if we learn basic math.
Correct.
I would definitely say that.
Correct.
Let's see. Theology by Willis. The church gives people hope but keeps them broke. Look at any poorer neighborhood. They are impoverished but are spiritual. And I guess this is a personal goal for me too.
I ain't touching that one.
With me, I do incorporate faith and finances, and that could be. It's tough, I would say, because if you don't talk about tithing, you're not talking money. Right, the notion is that if you tithe to the church, you'll get $1,000. You'll be blessed. All those them big TBN channels where they do those, all right now if you give $5,000, you give $1,000 right now, you'll be blessed beyond measure. And I'm like, whoa, man, that's some steep stuff, So I definitely applaud you. Just don't touch it. Me, I have a hard time not touching it because I was raised Catholic, and then I started going to Christian churches.
Right.
And then I discovered kingdom thinking, and it's like totally separate from Christianity and Catholics.
No, keep doing what you're doing, man. Don't change.
Yeah.
Don't change it. Let me tell you something, man. Don't change any of your style.
Yeah.
Leave it Denzel, because I remember earlier we were talking about all these other people doing velocity banking and all that stuff. They can never imitate you. Okay? So just because other people ain't doing it, don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Do it Denzel style, man. It's working, obviously.
Oh, this is a good one. Martin says, math is pure science, but can be manipulated. And I would agree with that because, China has done that very effectively to our country, is they have manipulated money. And they have put us in so much debt. It's incredible.
Are you guys talking about money or mathematics? Which one are you guys talking about?
So he says math is pure science.
Yes.
But can be manipulated.
That's his belief.
Because he's not saying the word money, right?
Yeah.
Math alone is math alone.
Yes, money can be manipulated.
Math cannot. Can you intertwine the two?
They are intertwined. The only thing that can separate math from money are feelings.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
This was just a question to someone in the group saying, what's better, renting or buying a house? And me personally, I'd rather rent until I can put myself in a position to either buy it out completely, a property, or finance and get the best mortgage, like you say, and just cash flow the difference if I'm going to use it like a business. Do you agree with that?
I agree with you, the way you're doing it, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see.
Not a person in debt. People in debt got to stop acting as if they have a choice. People say it as if they have a choice. Should I buy or rent? I just say, does your bank account agree with you that you can buy? No, then you can't.
Let's see. Let's see. Brittany says, so the house, when you are in debt, is a liability, not an asset. It's that simple. You agree with that? I agree with that.
It counts on, if it's personal, yes. Business, no.
Yeah, and one could turn their home into an asset. If they started a home-based business, they take a
Correct.
section of the house
Hmm.
and they deem that as a business office, and now they get to write off, and they start making money in their home, and they're able to write off the electricity, they're able to write off the phone bill, the cable,
See,
the
I would skip all that. I would just me personally, when I buy my house, I'm not going to put it in my name. I'm gonna create a different whatever LLC or whatever I need to change. Put the house under there, and I'm going to rent from myself. I'm never going to buy another house like that ever. Personally, I will never do that again.
oh, gotcha.
Never.
So
I
so
will
you
never do that again.
so right now you rent.
I rent it. Yeah, I rent a
Okay.
townhouse right now.
Yeah. And so you're just building up to get an investment property. Are you going to live in that, like house hack it, or?
No, I'm right now. I'm just investing in myself. But when I'm ready for a house, I'm gonna wait. Like next year, for the next 2 years, it's gonna be the prime time to buy a house for because they're gonna be worth a quarter of the price they are today. And I would buy a house then, cash, or even if I have to get a mortgage, I'm gonna put that house under my LLC, and then I'm gonna rent from myself.
I see.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna put it under my personal name. No,
Okay. Yeah,
for tax, tax.
I'm on the same
Yeah,
frequency
yeah,
there as well, and I do think a huge opportunity is coming with. I mean, we'll just have to see. I mean, I'm hoping things just go back to normal, but who knows what normal is going to be now.
Let me ask you something, Denzel. Do you
Yeah.
really believe things are gonna go back to normal?
I don't I don't think they will. I'm hoping that there's going to be some version of people being reemployed. Now, I know a bunch of businesses have already gone out of business. A lot of businesses have closed up. So there's
Mhm.
going to be I think what's happening, and I turn back to faith on this, is the Earth, let's just say planet Earth, has been stressing a lot, right? We're putting the Earth under a lot of
Are you
stress,
stressing?
you know.
Are you
I'm
stressing?
no,
No. Then
physically,
why aren't you
emotionally,
stressing, Denzel?
I'm not stressing because I understand how to use my resources
Yes.
effectively.
And you're not in debt, right?
Correct. I'm not in debt, but
Right.
I would say like our country as a whole, because
Hmm.
I feel like I have an obligation as an American citizen. I want to improve our land, and make it prosperous and better. But I think we all have to learn how to cut back, and learn how to recycle, learn how to be environmentally friendly, because with climate change, with all these natural disasters that are happening in locations that we never thought would happen. People getting hit with hurricanes and floods and things like that. So all the emissions that we're releasing. So I think this is all by design, all for a purpose, all for a reason beyond our own understanding, which is why at some point we as a country have to figure out how to kind of, conserve. And staying out of debt helps you conserve, because if you don't over leverage yourself, then you're allowing the opportunity for yourself to grow with little, so that you can manage a lot. And I think that's the key, is getting people to understand how to manage very little, even if you're going slow in terms of paying off your debt, or just your own personal lifestyle. But if you can learn how to, like Dave Ramsey, rice and beans, and sell your stuff, be frugal, be a minimalist.
Hmm.
I'll talk about those things on my channel. I don't mind saying that. I'm like, listen, I've done it. I still haven't moved out of my parents' house. Hell no. What do I need to move out for? I got a room.
Don't.
I,
Stay as
I,
long as you can.
I stay as long as I can until they kick me out. In fact, I'm trying to help them
Yeah.
get their debts all paid off, which I have,
Yeah.
save
Congrat-
money, invest, and then
Congratulations. Proud of you, man.
buy
Proud of you.
a
I wish I
property.
would have did what you did.
Right.
Congratulations.
Get the family right. You
Hmm.
know, and so that leads to another question I had put up with Jeremiah, saying, does everything have to devolve into race? And unfortunately, no, it doesn't have to. But you have to get into people's minds of where they're coming from. A lot of people are coming to Linnell and myself with baggage. It's not just a matter of paying off debt. Like, you're talking a lot about the psychological part, which I touch on. I'm more of a concept guy, and I think you're more psychological, like, whoa, stop. first let's sit with that number, how much you owe in debt. Sit with that, and then let's talk again in a week or something like that. Let's see how you feel about this. And so I think people are coming like, oh, I'm 50 and I'm old. And I'm like, you're 50? That's not old.
Right. Yeah, it's not old at all.
What are you saying? Like, or oh, I'm this, I'm a Hispanic, or I'm black, and my family was always in debt. What does that have to do with you?
Right.
You're your own human being. Yes, you come from that family, but you don't have to be them. Right? You can take the best out of your mom and dad and excel in life, and that's what I did. I mean, I come from a family, low income, you know, paycheck to paycheck, always in debt, terrible credit. You know, no one in my family has ever owned a home or owned anything for that matter, paid off a car ever. You know, it was always like shifting, you know, things like that. So, but that doesn't mean I have to be that.
Right.
You know, there's a joke. You know, I'm Puerto Rican, and it's said, most people know this, that, you know, Puerto Ricans are lazy. We're lazy.
Right.
You look at our homeland, and it's like, I don't know, they don't look too well.
Right.
You know? And so you know, it plays a huge factor.
Huge part.
I would say.
And that's in every race. That's in every race. I just woke up one day and said, I'm not doing that. I'm doing what I want to do. And that was it. Just like it sounds like you did.
Got a lot of people talking about your orange shirt, man. I'm telling them, leave you alone.
I like bright colors. I like to be noticed, as you can see. Does it look like I'm shy or care what people?
Yeah, I'm just skipping over that, but I'm just seeing it over and over. I'm an orange shirt. What are these people saying?
That's cool, man. You know what's so funny? They like, what, orange shirt? Because I chose to wear it. That's it. See how simple that is? Because I chose to wear it.
Beverly says, thanks for coming here. We learned a lot from you. Appreciate that. And that was directed towards you because Beverly is a client of mine.
Thank you very much, Beverly. Appreciate it.
And then I'm hearing the comments saying, a lot of people talking about you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. It's very true. You know?
Am I a horse?
No, he's, you know that saying, you know, the common saying, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. That's directed to our clients that
gotcha.
want to do something.
I don't know. I thought I was going to be a horse. I don't know. Okay.
We got Dave in the house. I think you know Dave. I've seen him on your live streams.
I knew Dave. I know Dave.
He's like both methods work. Velocity banking, infinite banking are more advanced, complex methods that most people just do not understand. If they put in the work to understand these concepts, then they can work. And I would say that I do agree with that. Like velocity banking, infinite banking, any concept, if used improperly, you can mess up. Like that's Snowball. If you do not use your extra cash flow to make an extra payment towards your debt, you're going to stay in debt longer. You know, or if you use your cash flow to go spend it at the club, temporary pleasures, it's just going to put you further in debt. You know. Let's see. Roy says another quality video. Appreciate that.
It was good. It turned out better than I even thought it was going to turn out.
Whoa, I got a good comment from Gabriel. He says, I respect Denzel. I appreciate that.
Oh, man, you guys, man. I ain't going to lie.
I'm turning hearts.
Gabriel's thing, man, that cracks me up. I ain't going to lie. That's funny. That is funny.
That's all I wanted to get out of this video, honestly, was Gabriel's support or just respect. I do appreciate that. That does mean a lot.
You guys are around the same age too, so you know. So I mean.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, he might come to me later for an investment, because once we talk investment, we're all in agreement there.
Exactly.
It's something
and
you
like
need
I said,
to do.
Gabriel, anything when Denzel's talking investment, I trust Denzel. I trust him for sure.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Let's see. Let's see. Just because someone is in debt, that doesn't change the loss of value via inflation. It is mathematically true. Your belief doesn't. Grammar a little bit off, but I think I understand what he's trying to say there.
Can you read it? I can't see it yet.
He was just saying, just because someone is in debt, that doesn't change the loss of value via inflation. Crypto Winning has a YouTube channel as well, and I believe he talks about cryptocurrency. I could tell in the name alone, and I believe he also talks about different debt payoff strategies. But it's that common argument of, do I pay off debt or do I invest money and put it elsewhere because I can offset my borrowing cost?
And again, it's just because
Yeah.
people believe they have the option when they don't.
Yeah.
Like when people come at me with cryptocurrency, I just say, let me see your personal credit report. Your personal credit report will tell me why you believe in cryptocurrency.
Right.
I promise it will. I promise it will.
So debt free, how do you feel about crypto? Debt free.
I, currency in any form doesn't even exist. So as a debt-free person, but okay, let me go back to debt-free person. Okay, as you and I, when I think about cryptocurrency, I look at people. What are the majority of people that believe in cryptocurrency? I figure that out first. And then I figure out how many of those people are in debt. Okay, because if they're in debt, they believe they're investing in something with money that doesn't exist, right? If they don't know they're in debt and they believe in cryptocurrency, they've already bypassed the first thing. So that tells me a lot about cryptocurrency. So I would follow this is how I think, Denzel, what would the majority of people in debt that invest in cryptocurrency, what would they do? If they believe in it, I would invest in it, but a very different way, the opposite of the majority. Like right now, we're in a pandemic, so they're in fear. So they're trying to find anything to throw some money in that's going to quadruple their money in 1 month. Okay? And so, but I look on the outside, those guys are no jobs, and of course they're running in fear. So if I were to invest in cryptocurrency, I would follow what the people in debt would do and do the opposite of them. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if I'm debt free, you're not saying that crypto's bad.
No, no, no. You can make some serious money when you're debt free, but you do the opposite of the majority of people investing in cryptocurrency with money that doesn't even exist. So
I
they're
see.
playing with borrowed money, whether they know this or not is irrelevant, right? And they're going to be more fearful of what they do with that money because
Gotcha.
it's not theirs, because they know if they lose it, they still owe the bank. But if you're debt free like you and I, you already know the money that we have to invest in cryptocurrency, it's real. It's real. But we know if we drop $5,000 in cryptocurrency and it tanked, our life wouldn't change,
I see.
right? It wouldn't. You'd be like, oh, I'm kind of upset that I lost $5,000, but it wouldn't change that. You wouldn't. I don't imagine Denzel saying, oh man, I can't pay my rent now.
No,
You
no.
know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
difference. That's the difference.
Now, if virtual currency becomes a standard of measure, like where it replaces, regular dollars, money, does the system would change in a sense, correct? In terms of how we pay off debt, or
No.
would it stay the same? It's just okay. You use 1 Bitcoin equals da da da, and that's how you pay
Because
off
the
your.
form of currency doesn't matter to people in debt, because any form doesn't exist. It doesn't matter if it's gold, silver, dollars, euro,
Okay,
crypto. It doesn't matter. They're still in debt. They don't. They don't know that.
I see. I see.
But for you and I, it's a difference because if you got some gold, you're investing with real money. And you're investing according to, okay, this is going to rise. The people in debt are going to do this, so that means gold is going to do this. Oh, they don't believe in money, so gold's going to, like right now, gold's going up because hey, the dollar's down. Whatever they believe, it doesn't matter. Long as you understand that that's what's going to happen because of what the majority believe, and you do the opposite.
Right. Got a cool question from, or just a comment from Ill Wills.
A man ill wills. What's up?
Okay, he put in the super chat. He gave some money. He says, "I meant no disrespect to you." I'm assuming that's you, Linnell. He just says that you are a true gentleman in every sense of the word. Wish you the best in the future, brother. So he's directing that towards me. So I do appreciate
Yeah.
another
He
another
feels the same
follower of
way.
yours.
We both feel the same way about you, Mr. Rodriguez. Trust me, we do.
That's awesome. So I do appreciate him giving like that. I do appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
awesome.
Shout out to you, Will. Thanks for that, man.
Yeah. And let's see. Got a last question here. No one should invest in anything if they're going to fear losing their investment. I would agree with that, because all money, every investment has risk. So if you're putting your last emergency savings, in to an investment, and you're hoping and praying that's going to turn out to be great because that's the only money you had, well, then you weren't prepared to invest. So even when someone becomes debt free, maybe they need to stack up their cash a little bit before they start throwing money at
Yes.
investments,
See, you're saying all the right things, Denzel. You're right.
just come up with a solid plan of what am I going to put my money in,
Yes,
and commit to that. So I would say that's a powerful thing to do.
for sure.
Well, this has been powerful. I'm sure I'm taking all your time today. I'm sorry.
Hey, man, this is my passion. We could stay another 2 hours. I wouldn't care.
Oh man, YouTube's gonna be like, this may not upload, man.
So
This thing
what?
is
We
so
both
long.
blow up. Hey,
Yeah,
whatever. We both
yeah.
blow up. It's important information, man. I believe that we're both doing a good service. We are.
For sure, for sure. So I want to wish everyone a blessed day. You stay focused, you do your homework, you do your research. We all brought up great points, great questions for sure. Appreciate all the attendance. We've had at least 115 plus people show up. So it's pretty cool. And then, on the replay, and people are going to comment. Keep it positive, right? Voice your opinion and your thoughts, but do your research, do your homework. Don't jump the gun. Think you can do something, but you don't have the prior knowledge or experience to operate. I'm sure, Linnell, you would agree with that.
I'd agree. I agree.
And whoever it is you end up trusting with your financial, your financial information, or your financial coach, whoever you take on in your life, Linnell brought up a big point. You got to know, like, and trust them, or you got to trust them. You have to have trust, right? So I think that's powerful. I guess we can close it out here. Do you have any closing remarks to anyone else that you want to just, leave people with? Anything you want to say as we close this out?
I just want to say before in this, understand that even though Denzel and I are two different concepts, the main thing is trust. In a world full of non-trust, I guarantee you can trust both him and I, especially when it comes to your finances, for sure. And I thank you again, Denzel, for having me on, man. I appreciate you even reaching out to me respectfully after I did the review on your video, man. And you just came at me respectfully and said, hey, let's talk, man. So I appreciate the opportunity, man. Thank you.
Awesome.
And you can reach me at Savings Minus Debt on YouTube. And if you want to see more videos.
Awesome. Well, God bless everybody. Have a great day. Talk to you all soon. Bye now.